ये बताएं कि रावलाकोट और साथ धीर कोट या एक दो इस किस्म की जगह से कहाँ कोई आज़ाद कश्मीर रावलाकोट तो नहीं है। मैं तो वैसे भी सॉरी फॉर सेइंग मैं रावलाकोट वालों को एडा लंबा चौड़ा कश्मीरी मानता भी नहीं है।
That was Pakistani Defence Minister Khawaja Asif questioning the very identity of people from Pakistani-occupied Kashmir's Rawalakot and Mirpur. And there is anger, justifiably. Imagine saying this about the very people you claim to represent. That is exactly the storm Pakistan's Defence Minister Khawaja Asif has unleashed. And that too on live TV. This is the same man who has been threatening India with war over the Indus Water Treaty. The same man who invokes Kashmir as the core issue of Pakistan's national identity at every available international forum. And he just told the people of Rawalakot, while his own Pakistani army was shooting them, that they are not really Kashmiri. And the timing could not be worse, because right now, thousands of people are on the streets of Rawalakot. Women are leading demonstrations, young people are confronting security forces, and the slogans ringing across the region are not directed at India, they are directed at Pakistan. They are saying Pakistani forces out. The question is no longer what Pakistan says about Kashmir. The question is what Kashmiris in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir are saying about Islamabad. The timing of all this is revealing. While Pakistani security forces were firing on protesters in PoK, the country's army chief Asim Munir was being praised by the United States Vice President in Switzerland for his statesmanship. Pakistan was being celebrated globally as the unlikely peace broker in the US-Iran nuclear deal, with Islamabad relaying the American peace plan to Tehran and facilitating the ceasefire that ended the Middle East conflict. The contrast is sharp. On the global stage, Pakistan is the peacemaker. In its own backyard, it is the executioner. The question the world is failing to ask loudly enough is this: can a state that is shooting its own citizens while their internet is switched off be genuinely called a peace broker anywhere else? Let's come back to Rawalakot and what's happening there. The region has become the epicenter of growing political storm. Thousands of protesters have taken to the streets in recent weeks. Demonstrators have challenged Islamabad's authority, demanded greater political rights. What began as opposition to the allocation of reserved assembly seats has now evolved into something much bigger. People are questioning political representation, they are questioning governance, and increasingly, they are questioning Pakistan's control over the region. The chants are unambiguous. Pakistani forces out. We want basic rights. We want free education. The protests, now in their third week, have spread beyond a single issue. They have become a symbol of growing frustration inside PoK. And the protests are showing absolutely no signs of stopping anytime soon. Pakistan's response has been firm. Security forces have been deployed, arrests have been made, movement leaders have faced legal action. Authorities have attempted to contain the unrest. The violence began on the night of June 5th when an activist was shot dead by police. When his body was transferred for an autopsy on June 7th, crowds gathered outside the hospital. Pakistani security forces opened fire on them. At least 8 protesters and 4 police officers were killed that day, but local sources and multiple media reports put the death toll from subsequent days of crackdown at 27, with nearly 200 people injured. These included children, pregnant women, killed by Pakistani authorities. By June 11, Pakistani army personnel and rangers opened fire again on crowds gathered at Rawalakot's Eidgah ground. 16 more protesters were killed. hospitals in the city were struggling to cope. So since the beginning of this month, the total civilian death toll from the crackdown stands at more than 50. Amnesty International, in fact, has accused Pakistani authorities of using excessive force and suppressing dissent just weeks before scheduled regional elections. More than 50 British parliamentarians wrote to the UK government expressing alarm, prompted by British Kashmiris who could not contact their families due to the internet blackout. Then came Khawaja Asif's remarks, and suddenly a political protest became an identity crisis. For decades, Pakistan has insisted that the people of PoK are part of the larger Kashmiri cause. That argument has been central to Islamabad's diplomatic messaging. But when a senior minister suggests that Rawalakot and Mirpur residents are not Kashmiris, it creates a contradiction, a serious one. Critics are asking whether Pakistan's own political establishment understands the people it claims to represent. Others see the remarks as revealing a deeper disconnect between Islamabad and the region. Either way, the damage has been done. The statement has added fuel to an already explosive situation. The irony is impossible to miss. Pakistan frequently raises concerns about political freedoms in Jammu and Kashmir on global stages. It speaks about representation, it speaks about rights, it speaks about the voices of Kashmiris. The story unfolding in Rawalakot is bigger than one protest. It is a story about legitimacy, a story about representation, and a story that leaves Islamabad facing an uncomfortable question. If Pakistan cannot convince the people of Rawalakot that they belong, how can it convince the world that it speaks for Kashmir? This is Times Axis, where global stories meet India's perspective. Click on the bell icon to subscribe, because the next big global shift, my friends, will have India at its center.
If they had a nuclear weapon,
the old rules are breaking. Alliances are shifting.
Apologize again to the victims of the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein.
Wars are redrawing maps. Oil routes can shake economies overnight. One election in America can impact markets in Mumbai.
no tax on tips.
One move by China can alter the balance in Asia. One conflict in West Asia can hit every Indian household. This is no longer a distant story. This is our story. Your story. Because for the first time in decades, India is not watching from the sidelines. India is rising. India is negotiating. India is balancing rivals. India is building military strength. India is shaping trade routes. India is becoming central to the new global order. And yet, most global news is still told through someone else's lens. Washington's lens, Beijing's lens, London's lens. But where is India's lens? Where is the platform that explains the world from our perspective? Welcome to India's Axis, a new destination for geopolitics, strategy and power seen through India's eyes. From Neighborhood Watch to the biggest global stories that matter to you. Why tensions in the Taiwan Strait matter to India. How one move by China can affect India's security. What turmoil in Pakistan means for regional stability. How Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bhutan shape India's neighborhood. Why oil choke points can hit your wallet. How wars abroad can reshape India's security. This is not noise. This is not shouting. This is not recycled headlines. This is sharp, intelligent storytelling. Daily explainers, war room analysis, strategic conversations. Because news is everywhere, but perspective is rare. And in the age of confusion, clarity is power. Axis is for the audience that wants more than headlines. The axis of global power is shifting. India is at the center of that shift. It's time the world was explained accordingly. To understand the world through India's strategic lens. Subscribe now.